Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, boys and girls. Hope you're doing well, keeping fit, staying safe. Sorry, I'm feeling like a bit. This is my third recording. My last two recordings did not save or upload for some reason or another. So it's a little bit frustrating. This is the third time I'm recording this topic. All right. So anyway, today's topic is about families. Okay, guys. Do you love your family? Of course you do. I do, and I'm pretty sure most people do too. And we all, we all have something special with our families. Doesn't matter if it's big or small. Our families are always going to be important for us in this world and the hereafter. And we should always do our best to love and respect our families, especially our mums and dads, our brothers and sisters as well. Sure, we have some family members who can be a little bit wayward or unusual or what have you. But it's what they say. There's always one in the family. Okay, so don't let that put you down. Anyway, families are a beautiful thing, and they all. Actually, family means a lot to me personally. I'm not sure if that's because if my name has something to do with it. My full name is Imran Ali, and that's actually a surah from the third surah from the Quran, which is also called Ali Imran. What does that mean? It means the family of Imran. Okay, so if you read that surah, it's quite long. It talks a lot about the family of Imran and what happened in history. But funny thing is, because my name is Imran Ali, I've always felt a deep sense of attachment or attraction to my family. Okay, I really love my family so much, and it's a shame that I didn't really get a chance to to get to know them as much as I wanted to, because obviously, I moved to Australia, and with my mum and dad and my brothers, but I was only about 1 or 2 years old, so I can't even remember exactly when I moved to Australia. But what happened was, well, obviously, I grew up in Australia. My sister was born there. And we all went to school, kindergartens, primary school, high school, university, and obviously worked and got married there as well. So I spent my whole life there, pretty much without family, which is a bit sad. But I always loved my family though, even though they weren't very close. Obviously, I did have a couple of cousins. I had an auntie, and that's pretty much it in Sydney. So I always wondered, wonder what my cousins are like and what my aunties and uncles and all these beautiful family members are like, and what they're doing and how they are and everything. But because I grew up in Australia in the 80s and 90s, there wasn't very much of a way to keep in touch with the family, with my family. So there was no internet or Wi-Fi or mobile phones or anything like that. So it was quite difficult, for us to keep in touch with our families. I guess we could call, but that used to be very expensive. I used to buy a $20 phone card, which is like 200,000, and you could scratch off the pin, and then you could type the pin into the phone, and you actually could use it to call anywhere around the world. But the cost for that would be based on the per minute basis. So I would spend that $20 in half an hour, and then I have to buy some more and call, and it was very, very inconvenient and expensive, to say the least. So yeah, I basically accepted the fact that I wouldn't have very much family growing up in Australia. And that's understandable, but thankfully I had met a lot of friends there, and I'll talk about friends in my next video, but for now we'll try and stick to family. But I did have friends who I considered family, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But for now, yeah, if you were to ask me how many people are in your family, well, that depends. Are you talking about my family, as in my wife and my kids, or are you talking about my brothers and sisters and mother and father? Okay, so if somebody was to ask me that question, I would say, what do you mean, my wife and kids, or my brothers and sisters? And then that would be more, oh yeah, I mean, how many people are in your family, as in your brother and sister? How many brothers and sisters do you have? Well, in that case, there are a couple of ways to answer that question. The first one is, you could say, if you're single, you could say, for example, there are 6 people in my family. I have 2 brothers, 2 older brothers and a younger sister, which is fact. And if you were to say for married, if I'm in terms of my own family, I would say there are 4 people in my family. We have a son and a daughter, which is another true fact, okay, about me. I do have a son and a daughter, and obviously a wife. And in terms of my immediate family, I have 2 older brothers and a younger sister, okay. So yeah, that's how you might answer that question. How would you answer that question? How many people were in your family? Okay. Have a bit of practice. Also, if you want to ask a bit more about your family, there are so many different questions you can ask. But in particular, we like to use present continuous, okay, because that's basically talking about now and what's happening, and what's continuing from now. So a good way to ask questions about your family is basically using that tense, the present continuous tense. So for example, you could say, are you living at home now? You can say, yes, I am. No, I'm not. Is your sister still working, in IT, for example? You can say, yes, she is. No, she's not. Or no, she isn't. Okay. Is your brother going to college this year? Obviously, again, you can say, yes, he is. Or no, he's not. Or, no, he isn't. Okay. So basic questions, just try and review the present continuous grammar, and you can practice it using those questions and answers. Another question, where are you working now? Or you can say, oh, I'm not working, I'm looking for a job, or I need a job. Or you can say, oh yeah, I'm still working, I'm working as a teacher in Jakarta. Or, what's your brother doing these days? You can say, oh, he's traveling in the Amazon, or he's working in Melbourne in finance, or he's working in Perth in IT, or whatever. And another example question would be, what are your parents doing these days? What are your parents doing these days? You could say, oh, my parents are staying at home, they're retired, okay, they're a pension. They're earning a pension, which basically means they're retired. Or you can just say they've passed away, okay? And most people will say, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, and you might say that's okay. And just, send them a quick dua. But basically, yeah, that is some information about how you might ask questions about a family. Okay, there are a few other questions you might ask, but I'll ask you at the end of this video, so you can go and ask your friends and have a bit more practice about that. So yes, let's just, I guess, talk a little bit about typical families, okay, and maybe the differences between typical families in America compared to typical families in Indonesia. Okay, here is a snapshot of a typical family. You can say in America or in Australia, they'd probably be about the same. Okay, so for example, facts about the United States. 41% of homes have 3 or more televisions, and 63% of families almost always eat dinner together. Okay, so how many percent of homes in Indonesia have 3 or more televisions, and how many percent of families almost always eat dinner together in Indonesia? See if you can answer these questions. Next point, the working family. Okay, so 55% of mothers with young children work, and 78% of high school students have jobs. Interesting. How many people are like that in Indonesia? Okay, how many percent of mothers with young children work, and how many percent of high school students have jobs? And the last point is 74% of adults between the ages of 18 and 35 get married, and 27% of adults between the ages of 18 and 34 live with their parents. Okay, once again, how many percent of those people are like that in Indonesia? All right. And talking about those particular points, which facts seem like positive things and which seem negative? Okay, see if you can answer that. And what are families like in your country? Okay, and write your guesses, or you can discuss that with your friends. Okay, and see if they agree. Okay, so yeah, a little bit of practice there about families, and let me just say one thing also. Even though I didn't grow up with very much family in Australia, I always thought about them, and always try to keep them close to my heart. And always try to pray for them. Okay, it's very important. Even if you don't know them, just pray for them. They're still family, and you never know, they might be praying for you as well. So yeah, try to keep good relations with your family. It's very important. It's always good to have family, even if you don't know them. There might come a time in your life where you might end up meeting them, and that I've been in that situation where I haven't met my family for 30 something years, and then ended up meeting some of the lots of my family here when I came here, when I first arrived, and it was really mind-blowing, to have that feeling. It's overwhelming to finally meet your family that you've never met and you've always wanted to meet. If you're not in that situation, then you should consider yourself very lucky. Okay, if you're living in Indonesia and all your family are here, even if they're in different cities, okay, it doesn't really matter. At least you're still here. You still get to see each other. Then consider yourself very, very lucky. Okay. Yes, we don't always get along with all our family members, that's true, but always try to keep good relations with them either way. Okay, that is what is expected of us in Islam as Muslims, and I'm sure that's what your parents expect of you as well. So especially between your siblings, okay, your immediate family, and obviously it's good to do the same to your extended family as well. Because I tell you guys, you don't know what you have until it's gone. All right. Right now, I don't have my mother and father. Actually, my mother passed away when I was only 9 years old. She had ovarian cancer in 1984 in Sydney, and there was no medicine or treatments for that kind of cancer. And I think that still up to today they don't have any real solid medicine for that illness. So I lost my mum quite young, and my dad had to raise 4 of us on his own, poor thing. So he had to be a mother and a father in the one house. But he had a little work accident. He used to work in a steel factory called BHP. It's one of the biggest steel factories in the world. And anyway, got into a little bit of an accident, burnt off his leg, and alhamdulillah, he could still walk and everything, and they didn't have to chop his leg off, but it was quite severely burnt and damaged, so he wasn't able to work anymore. But from that, the positive thing was that he did receive some compensation, and alhamdulillah, we were able to buy a house in Sydney. Back then, houses were like $20,000. Okay, now a house would be over $2 million. So yeah. But that's what happened, and we lived very close to the city. We lived in Newtown, very close to everything, and yeah, that's basically where we resided. We always lived pretty close to the city, and I met a lot of people and interesting people, and not so interesting people. But yeah. basically, that's where my life was, and started in Australia. And yeah, you could say, I'm really blessed, alhamdulillah, for everything. Even though I didn't have my mum, and my dad passed away as well, back in 2012 when I just gave birth to my son, my first son. So yeah, my only son. And yeah, a bit of a shame, but this is why we should always try and love our families, okay? Even if you're right, don't argue, just agree, accept it, just make them feel good, okay? That's another hadith, and this is another beautiful thing about Islam. It teaches us it's not just a religion, it is really truly a way of life. And again, we should be blessed to have that as well in your life. And for you guys to be studying at JIS and JIPS and JIGS, you're so lucky. I wish I could, went to school in an Islamic school, something I never had when I was growing up in Australia. But you guys do. So your parents are definitely very doing the right thing, okay? And they're trying to give you guys the best opportunity for you guys in this world and the hereafter. So love them dearly, because like I said, you don't know what you have until it's gone. So yeah, look after each other, look after yourselves, and always try to be there for each other, okay? So the last few questions I have for you to answer is, do you have a big family? How many brothers and sisters do you have? Are your siblings older or younger than you? And what do you like doing with your family? Okay, so have a think about it. All right, open your books. You might have some stuff there about families, and that might help you. But if you have no one to talk to, write it down, and hopefully we'll all be getting back to school soon in the next couple of weeks, inshallah. And we can check it together, okay? In the meantime, keep practicing, guys. Love your family, pray for them, and give your mom and dad a big hug, and your brothers and sisters too. Why not? Okay? They really are special. There is nobody else in this world like your own family. So there you go. All right, guys. We'll be talking about friends in the next video, but for now, have a think about that, and enjoy the rest of Ramadan. Actually, I was thinking about doing a topic about Ramadan, but probably after this thing about friends. We'll see how we go. Okay, guys, that's all for now. Enjoy the rest of your day. Love your families, immediate and extended families, and always pray for them. Okay, and lower your wings of humility, which means try to be humble towards them and be kind. All right, guys. Take care. All the best. Assalamu alaikum.